Hello and welcome back to my career mode. Yes, this is post-commentary, as you can probably tell. This launch here is a probe that I just decided to mess around with. I used the sub-assembly to reuse that launcher, and yeah, this thing is actually a hell of a lot lighter than a lander, as you might imagine. And that does have an impact on the mission. But more of that in a minute. Yeah, so I just decided to send it up on a polar orbit for no particular reason. I thought maybe if I was over the poles I might get some different stuff from the science things, but well, no. You're just in space here, and yeah, I was testing out these solar panels, seeing how well they sort of hold up when you're transmitting the data back, you know, see how much charge they use up and how quickly it regenerates. You know, just a bit of a test flight really, so I didn't have to send any Kerbals up and worry about getting them home. And yep, just getting into my final orbit here, and I realized that I have just shitloads of fuel. I still have this launch stage on it with, you know, more than half a tank of fuel there, and so I just thought, you know, just keep transmitting some data. I've got that press mat thing on there as well, a barometer. And yeah, I just figured, well, I might as well go to the moon, right? And so I did. I sent the probe to the moon. And yeah, just trying to observe the materials at the South Pole there. See if that gave me anything different, but it doesn't. You're just in orbit. It doesn't matter which part of the orbit you're in. So yeah, making a transfer to the moon, still have shitloads of fuel left. So, you know, I can easily get into a stable orbit when I get there. Bit inclined, but that's to be expected when you transfer from a polar orbit. So yeah, I'm using physics warp there to turn the thing around, because I don't think I put a reaction wheel on it. So yeah, it's a little bit unwieldy, especially with this tank still on it. So there, I'm in a stable orbit. I still have crap ton of fuel. So just transmitting some more science back. And yeah, the barometer is not interested in vacuums. It doesn't let you transmit vacuum data back, I guess. So I figured, you know, with all this fuel left, I might as well go to Minimus. So first thing I did was expand my orbit out to intersect Minimus's, and then changed my inclination to match planes. And yeah, just a little bit of tweaking, because I'm basically on an opposite inclination there. But it doesn't take a lot to get on the same inclination. What is that? Can't read the numbers on my little preview screen, but it's not a lot. It's less than 100, I think. And yeah, this is the first mission to Minimus in this career mode, so it's quite a monumental occasion, really. And yes, I still have the launch stage attached at this point. So just some more minor adjustments. Now that the orbits intersect and we're on the same inclination, you can just do a burn at the closest approach, and then we get an encounter on the next orbit. So just whiz around. We should see it coming up very soon. There it is, little spinning green marble. And yeah, we accidentally get an orbit that collides with the moon. Did I see that right? I can't remember. But yeah, just transmitting some data from high Minimus orbit and from a low Minimus orbit. I figured I might as well get into a stable orbit there as well. Well, there really wasn't any need, to be honest. Like, I did kind of consider landing on Minimus. It's not hard without any landing gear, but I still had quite a lot of fuel in the launch stage, like a good few hundred meters a second delta V at least. And so I just decided to go to Eve. I figured it would be something relatively easy to do, to at least get an encounter with Eve. So yeah, I just set up a maneuver node there to intersect the plane, or intersect Eve's orbit, and then again, once I get out to the ascending node or the descending node, I'll adjust my inclination so that we're on the same plane. And that's really the easiest way of transferring somewhere without a proper launch window, is just intersect the orbit, do a plane change, and then just wait basically for an encounter. And you can do a burn if it doesn't take too much fuel, but yeah, doing the burns at the closest approach is really the best way of turning it into an encounter. And yeah, I just rotated the probe there because the solar panels do turn to face the sun, but at certain angles, yeah, that's the first time I've used that engine, that little tiny Rocamax one. Yeah, it is basically the only probe part I have at the moment, the only probe engine. So yeah, you see there, just getting on the closest approach, testing things out. I end up spinning around a couple of times. So yeah, what's this? The mission time, it looks like 142 days. It's quite a while, but it's a probe, it's okay. There's no little sweaty Kerbal sitting in a little tin can. I'm not sure if Kerbals sweat. That's an interesting point. They could wallow like pigs. We don't know. Maybe that's why they're green. Maybe they've been importing mineral wash from Minimus and it stains their skin green. I don't know. And so yeah, this thing, just with that tiny engine on that relatively big fuel tank, actually has a fair amount of delta V, so just do a little burn here to get the encounter. Again, that's going to be on the next orbit. And just try to push that orbit down to a level where I could possibly aero brake, but it's not the easiest thing to do when you're basically an entire orbit away from the encounter. So yeah, just a little burn here to further correct my inclination, I think. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Because, yeah, we're going to come in a little bit strangely. And then we get the orbit down to 47 kilometers. So, and yeah, you get quite a bit of data just for being in deep space and observing materials and whatnot. So, yeah, coming into aero brake here. And yeah, I tried to... Well, I got the orbit down to about 40 kilometers, which is extremely overkill. That was too low. And yeah, you see there, I ran out of electric charge because the solar panels were just at a specific angle where they couldn't face the sun at all. They were being blocked by the parts. So yeah, retracting one of the solar panels so I don't lose both of them, because I do want to transmit some data from inside the atmosphere. And yeah, obviously I need power for that, so just kind of sacrificing one of the solar panels. And I end up sacrificing both of them because yeah, I tried to extend one of them when I was inside the atmosphere. But yeah, I aero brake too much, and yeah, in a second you'll see my beautiful probe crashing into the surface of Eve. Yeah, it doesn't matter though, there's no Kerbals on board. I transmitted all the data, and here's me trying desperately to click on the barometer there so I can transmit some atmospheric data, and running out of charge. I think, oh, I'll just extend the solar panels, right? They just go flying off, it's fine. But yeah, I'll just switch to real-time commentary for a minute as I go through the tech tree. I thought it was sensible to do that. So, take over past me. Okay, after that impromptu probe mission to Eve, I have a ridiculous amount of science points to spend, 655. Well, okay, it's not that ridiculous. But advanced rocketry, no, you see, I still want to do science. Yeah, this is what we want, more sciencey things. We'll have that. That's 300 of my science gone. Wow, okay. What do we have here? That's 550 science. Ah, the gravioli detector. Ah, now rover parts would be very nice. That means that you could roll around and collect samples and stuff. That would be very nice indeed. Yes, what else is there? Airplane parts, not a priority for me right now. So, Rockomax brand decoupler, considering I don't have any Rockomax brand tanks. Alright, let's unlock some of the rocket tree. Rocket tree, yeah. There we go, yeah. Now we can actually build some big ass rockets. Okay, that's a skipper. Yeah, we'll have that. And nuclear stuff there. I presume that's the nuclear engines. Yeah, I think once you unlock those, you can basically just do anything, can't you, really? I mean... So the Rockomax brand decoupler, yeah, that would have been nice, but I guess I'll have to make do with the smaller one, which will probably make the vehicles fall apart. So yeah, let's unlock this. Oh no, I can't. I only have 60 science left. It goes so quickly. But yeah, I'm getting quite a bit along this. I think I'll go land somebody on Minimus now, instead of just flying past it. That seems like a good idea, I think. Okay, so with those parts unlocked, I built myself another lander. It's a little bit simpler than the last one, because this one is not really returning right away. At least that's the plan, anyway. So I'm going to take this to Minimus. As you can see, I'm making full use of that skipper engine and the big Rockomax tank for a very nice simplistic launcher. I add the solid rocket boosters on there just because they're nice, they give you a nice kick. But yeah, that mainsail and a big tank there with one of the littler tanks is really all you need to get such a small lander into orbit. So yeah, just a low orbit as usual. Using a bit of the transfer stage as well. Perhaps I could have designed it a little bit more efficiently, but it doesn't matter really at the end of the day. So yep, switching to the lander stage now, and again I'm just going to intersect Minimus's orbit. I accidentally go right past it, so I was looking for an encounter straight away, but I just decided just to go for it where it is there. Right, so I think what I decided to do, so you know, it's hard to remember these things, but yeah, I was just looking at this encounter here and the amount of delta V it was going to take, and it just seemed like quite a lot, and well, accidentally fast forwarded past it. But you know, I did realize that it would take a lot of delta V to make the plane change as well as the transfer. So yeah, like I said, the most efficient way of transferring to a planet is to intersect the orbit and then make the plane change when you're at a wider point in the orbit, because it just takes a lot less energy, you know. Smaller changes give you greater energy on the other side of the orbit. I do end up flying right past the launch stage there that I decoupled about 3 kilometers away, which is quite impressive. And yeah, still attaching those little tanks to the side with the radial decouplers. And yeah, see, just a little optical illusion with the conics there. When you're on this sort of flat angle, it looks like it just intersects it. But then when you look like directly down on it, I went way past the orbit, but never mind. And yeah, the moon getting in the way, as always, it really does. I mean, you know, it's more efficient to make the plane change at a wider point in the orbit, but if you do it early on, if you have the energy to do it, then you avoid the moon, which is just great. And yeah, I was trying to make a plane change maneuver node there, and just spinning the craft around makes the delta V fluctuate up to like 600. I had no idea what was going on there. So yeah, I basically just orbited and just, yeah, did it on this side instead. Yeah, I just eyeballed it really, because it was just, the maneuver nodes are just going crazy. So yeah, just get that down to 0 and pull the orbit back in. Just a bit of a waste, but I had to do it really. And zoom around a few times, try and hope for an encounter, but really it just have to do, yeah, I didn't escape the moon. It tried to grab me there, so I just had to do a maneuver there. It wasn't the most efficient, but I had to do it if I wanted to avoid the moon, basically, so yep, just at my apoapse, just push the orbit way out and get that encounter with Minimus. It's very small, tiniest little adjustments. Even just rotating the craft changes the periapse, so there we go, whizzing around. And you don't need a maneuver node to see how much delta V it takes to circularize an orbit here, because it takes fuck all, basically. Yeah, it's such a tiny little moon. It's not the smallest, but still pretty small. There we go, getting some data collected there in low orbit. And yeah, just decided just to go straight into a landing, seeing as I was on the light side. And I pushed it up a bit so that I could land on the flatter part, because it's quite mountainous. It has these sort of frozen lakes. I'm not sure what they're made out of. It's, you know, it says on the EVA report that it's some kind of crystalline structure, so, you know, I'm not entirely sure what it is, but yeah, here I just pointed over there and just you can do that on Minimus. You can just point to where you want to land and just go for it, as long as you then kill your lateral velocity. I love those decouplers, like firing away those tanks. It's just unbelievable. So yeah, we could do with some smaller radial decouplers. We really could. So I was just landing on the edge of this lake here, this frozen lake, because I figured I could get a sample from the lake and then one from the side of that hill, but it actually doesn't let you. They're both just samples from the surface of Minimus, that's all it says. So you only get to have one. You can transfer the data back and, you know, collect another one and keep doing it, but there's no point in getting it from different areas, I don't think. And yeah, I'm just coming down ridiculously slowly. This it's quite tedious, but yeah, I just didn't want to crash, because I always crash. I'm always absolutely terrible at landing, because I always come down at like 5 meters a second or something, and it's, you know, that's enough for the landing legs to not break or anything, but you know, you always topple over. So there we go, collecting some goo data, transmitting it back. So as I said, I'm not really planning on bringing this craft back. It does have enough fuel, and it does have a parachute. But what I want to do is send out a rover. Well, I'm going to use the... Look how high I can jump. Yeah, I'm going to use the science that I collected to unlock some rover parts. And send out a rover there so we can have a little drive around on Minimus. I think there's enough gravity for rovers to work. I could be wrong, but he's having a little tumble there. So yeah, I tried to collect a sample over there, like I said, but it's the same stuff. So I guess these aren't frozen lakes. Or maybe they're just frozen lakes of molten whatever the hills are made out of. So yeah, I'm just sending all that stuff back. I haven't looked at how much science that got me yet, so I'll do that in the next part. So yeah, that is the middle of this mission. It's not quite ended. I've got to get Jebediah back one way or another. And I remember to plant the flag this time as well, which is nice. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.